Hi, I'm Frank Ryan, the state representative for the 101st District in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. There have been discussions about eliminating property taxes for decades. In November 2017, a constitutional amendment passed by a substantial margin to allow for the elimination of property taxes. With that amendment, it would only be necessary for legislation to be enacted to get rid of that regressive tax in the Commonwealth. The question then becomes, what's the status of this bill to eliminate property taxes? In December of this year, in 2018, I circulated a co-sponsorship memo in the Pennsylvania House for a bill which will eliminate property taxes 100% for all properties if it's enacted. The objective of this bill is really simple: to eliminate all school property taxes. The tricky part, though, is the replacement tax. That very simple and innocuous statement will be the subject of 8 very detailed articles and, candidly, YouTube videos that I intend to write explaining this issue in order to solicit your feedback and to allow for this best possible solution to come about as quickly as possible. We're going to have 8 articles, and they're going to include such things as critical economic reasons for getting rid of property taxes. What are some of the problems with the existing property tax system? What about the unfunded pension liabilities, and how do we deal with those? What's the impact of the funding formulas for school districts under the current laws, and if we replace property taxes? What about property tax elimination and the impact on seniors, but at the same time, property tax elimination and the impact on working families? It would be negligent not to also talk about what happens on schools and teachers if we eliminate property taxes. And then finally, we'll discuss my House Bill 13, which is the property tax elimination bill, and how that's going to affect us all. Eliminating the property tax is critical to the economic survival of this Commonwealth. In my 40 years as a certified public accountant, an expert in helping organizations avoid bankruptcy, I can think of no more complicated problem to the financial survival of the Commonwealth than eliminating property taxes. The reason this is so complicated is because our current system of taxation and funding of schools is so fundamentally flawed that even minor fixes to peripheral elements of the system could have significant unintended consequences. That's a mouthful, so let me give you an example. The funding formulas for schools in the Palmyra Area School District receive $1 million less per year than it would receive under the newly enacted funding formula, which will take almost 20 years to fully implement. This means that Palmyra School District must fund that shortfall from the state either by cutting spending or by increasing property taxes. If we take decisive action now to reform our tax policies for working families, seniors, businesses, and school districts with the fundamental shift in the elimination of property taxes, we can actually reverse these negative trends. I'm extraordinarily optimistic that we can do this if we take the problem seriously. Efforts in the past to eliminate property taxes have been not successful, and for a whole bevy of reasons. The primary reasons for the failure of prior efforts revolve around some of the following. The replacement taxes involve funds going to the Commonwealth rather than for local control. That's a big issue for most people. The elimination of the property tax on people who rent rather than own their own homes is another major issue. In other words, renters would end up paying a property tax in essence because it's in their rent, as well as then have to pay a higher income tax. Then there's the perceived lack of stability in school funding under a replacement formula, all valid concerns. Additionally, there's the expansion of sales tax base was problematic for some very powerful stakeholders. The proposed replacement taxes were directly and directed predominantly at working families. The system that I am proposing will address these issues. I've met with hundreds of groups, and this will provide an orderly phase-in so that the schools and the community are able to adopt and adapt to a new system with no major disruptions to the educational opportunities of our students. I cannot emphasize enough how severe the problem is with property taxes. The funding formula itself, which is a separate issue, is equally problematic and leads to the difficulty in solving this problem. It's critical, however, to understand that everyone must get involved if we are to resolve this problem. Together, we need to do this to ensure that the probability of surviving the next economic downturn is there for us. The financial rescue plan that I proposed when I was first elected 2 years ago discusses all of the efforts we need to do to turn around the finances of Pennsylvania. We are well on the way to enacting these bills, and the property tax elimination is a major component of it. I look forward to your input and to comments on the particles and the various different aspects of the bill that we will be submitting to you, and ask you to please get active in this and provide me the guidance that you feel needs to be included in any legislation. We cannot afford to make a mistake on this. A copy of our bill and all of our information can be found at our website, www.frankryan.com. Ladies and gentlemen, please look at the next 8 articles that we do, and we'll use this as an opportunity for each and every one of us to get active in this debate, have our voices heard, and craft a solution that will help the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for the decades to come.